because you're hurting and your body, your body needs rest to heal. But what are you doing? You're still going back into the gym to punish yourself. Like, who is that helping?
This is Katie Gordon, and you're listening to the Wait is Over podcast. Welcome, health and freedom seekers. Sit back and relax as you come on this journey of overcoming obstacles so you can lose weight, gain health, and live the life you've been looking for. Hello, listeners, and welcome to this week's show. I'm your host, Katie Gordon, and the wait is over with Dietless Living 360 degrees. There's no recipes, food regimes, or exercise programs to follow. This is simply about how to take your life back, how to take control, because we all have a voice and we all want to just forget about dieting, focus on living, and lose weight. And to do that, we have to create a new mindset that gets us over the obstacles and challenges, because that's really what impacts on our weight and health and causes habit relapse. And today we're talking to Ruby, Bhangu, Devit, and welcome to the show, Ruby. I'm really excited that you've joined us today.
Thank you for having me, Katie. I'm really excited and nervous to be here.
You are such a delight. So just relax and sit back. And Ruby, I've invited you to join us today to share your weight and health story, because it's such an important story to share. And there's so many people struggling with their weight and health at the moment, and really feeling disempowered and despondent because they're putting in all the effort, but they're not getting the forever results that they're looking for. So if it's all right with you, can we just start with where you've been with your weight, what's been going on and for how long?
Yeah, of course. So ever since I was younger, my mind has been in my books. It's always been about academia and studying and getting results. And I think part of that sort of came from me being an only child. So, you've got one side of the spectrum where you've got only children that are spoiled, get given everything on a platter, and then you've got the other side. So I was more, being the only child, I didn't want to let my parents down. I wanted to make sure that I did the best that I could to make them proud, which meant that I chucked myself into my books. Degrees, I've done a bachelor's, I've done a master's, I've done my CCA, so I've got all the paperwork. But the problem was that while I was doing all this, I wasn't looking after myself or my health. And, you know, over time, putting on weight, having health issues, the stress of just studying and not moving my body, not getting my steps in, I guess over time that started to build up. And you can feel it physically. You can feel it drain you. You can feel it tire you. So one day I just sort of got up and I was like, you know what? I need to do something about this. Picked up my Instagram, saw who the most current trainer was that everyone was after, and I signed up for a training program for, I think it was the first set was for 6 weeks.
Yep.
You know, being academic and wanting to do everything by the books, like I did everything. I followed the food to a T, did all the workouts to a T.
Because you
Miss
are the
Goody Two
great
Shoes.
student, aren't you, right? You do everything you're
Yes,
told.
I
You do
did,
it perfectly.
definitely. So my weigh-ins were never missed. And I saw results, which was great. I definitely I lost the weight
Yeah.
and I felt good and clothes started to fit better. And in my mind I was like, oh, I'm slim now, like great, it's amazing, it's working. And I extended for another 6 weeks after that, and then another 6 months after that, and by the end of the program I was in the best shape I had ever been in my life.
You must have felt amazing
But
too, did you?
I'll be honest with you, I was more impressed with the way that my clothes fit, but I was absolutely shattered
Yeah.
because it was almost, we were eating chicken and veg,
Yeah.
300 grams of chicken, 50 grams of mixed veg. And it was, you're not supposed to marinate it. You're not allowed to add any spices. So you're
Oh,
almost eating tasteless chicken and veg. And, for breakfast, it would be porridge, but porridge with water, and you'd have protein powders. And At the time, it felt like a good idea because I had a goal to achieve and I
Yep.
did what I had to do to get there.
Yes.
But in the long run, it wasn't great. It wasn't great because it kind of meant that after I thought, you know what, I've got the hang of this, I can do this, and I stopped that program and I finally finished, I started to put all of it on again.
How quickly did it start to come back?
I'll be honest, I probably didn't feel anything in the first week or two, but after that, pretty quick. Like I'd say within about a month and a half, I started to put it on again because I guess I was so sick and tired of being in the gym that I felt like I was due a break. So I stopped gymming. And
Yes.
although I'd go one session a week, maybe two sessions here and there, I wasn't doing my three sessions, which was, a weight session in the afternoon, cardio in the morning, cardio at night, every
Yep.
single day, or
Oh wow, you were
six
doing
days a
three
week sort of
sessions
thing.
every day of the week and
Yeah, so you had a
working
hit
and
session in the
studying.
morning, breakfast. hmm So
Wow.
it was tough. It was really, really tough. Like I said, I put it on really, really quickly. I couldn't understand why I did. I think I don't know whether going through the program and actually losing the weight, it meant that I'd finally found some magic, magic equation that meant that no matter what, I'd stay skinny forever, or I could just follow that again. But it's
Yes.
just not sustainable.
But and this is the thing, right? I completely relate to that because I did that so many times on my weight loss journey, 25 years of doing stupid, nutty stuff like yourself, just throw yourself at it and then stopping, but being so surprised or just not understanding that, that it was the stopping part was the end of it, that eventually there was, the backslide and not even being aware of my own backsliding into my habits. Like, were you even aware of that was happening, or did it just feel like, what did it feel like to me? Kind of not relief. It was more of relaxation. Oh, I can just relax a little bit now.
Yeah, it was honestly like I could breathe again. Where my body was so tired from working out all the time, just to be able to have a lie-in, to spend the evening on the sofa, watch a bit of TV, treat myself to an episode of whatever I was watching at the time. That seemed like a treat. You know what was the biggest treat for me, I found? And I know this is going to sound very, very strange, but the fact that I didn't have to be in gym wear all the time.
Yes,
That was actually such a treat. You'd get up, have your shower in the morning, and rather than jumping straight into gym wear, I can actually put on like a nice top and jeans, or whether that was a big comfy hoodie with
yeah.
joggers even. But as long as it wasn't like those tight leggings and the gym gear, and yeah, I think that was the biggest treat for me, to be fair.
Because they're like, think about what that is. I'm the same, right? If I don't have to get up on any morning, when I get up, kind of you get dressed for work. And the signal to the brain is, oh, I just got up. Don't make me work straight away, right? And it's the same when you're getting up and just putting on your gym kit. It was
Mhm.
more, I imagine, something your brain was saying, oh, we just got up. I'm knackered. You're putting on my gym gear. You mean we have to work now?
That only means one thing: you got to go to the gym.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was too regimented. It was too regimented. There was no fun. It got results, but what
yep,
was the point if they weren't sustainable?
exactly right. What would you do if you could go back over that period? How would you change it? Like, what would you do differently that would have still ended up with an improvement in your health and your weight, but been more sustainable?
I think learn from what he was trying to do with his method. So a lot of these trainers will put you on a plan, but they will never, ever, ever tell you how many calories you're on, or how much exercise you're doing, or why you're doing so much, or what exercise, their plan, their little secret formula. They will never tell you why you're
Yeah.
doing what you're doing. They say just, here you go, just do it. I think I would have tried to learn more.
Yes.
So I could have, okay, you know what, this looks like it's roughly X amount of calories for the day. Maybe I could just reduce the number of meals that I'm having, but make sure I have more fuller, healthier, happier meals, if you know what I
Yep.
mean. So to see how I could have bent the rules a little bit to actually enjoy the process and learn from it. I think that's got to be my biggest takeaway.
Yes. And it's so true, right? Because that's the key that is missing from all the weight loss things. Like I remember for myself, it was the same, whether I was doing Sure Slim or the Natural Way or any of those different programs that I did, all with my PT. It was, the food wasn't explained to me, like you say, how you can bend the rules a little bit and why you're doing the things you're doing. Like, it wasn't educational, as you said. It was just, this is the program, go forth, be strong. And with the PT, I've had many personal trainers, and I don't know what your experience was with your one, but mine, the ones that I had, they always push me, like that's their job, push you beyond what you can do on the day. And like you, I'm an overachiever. I will do as I'm told without, question. I might get a bit grumpy, but I will do it. But I was not honoring myself at all. I'd be in pain, hurting, and they're going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And then you spend the next however many days in pain. You might be starting to come back from the pain, and then there's your next session. You're never not in pain. Is that
Yeah,
how it
no,
was
it's
with
true.
yours?
Constantly, DOMS, constantly had DOMS. The day after that, 2 days later would always be the worst, basically. But it's strange because you're hurting and your body needs rest to heal. But what are you doing? You're still going back into the gym to punish yourself. Like, who is that helping?
I know. And how is that healthy, right? Like, and because we already work ourselves to the bone, you were studying yourself to, you were mad focused on what you were doing. And for myself, it was just with work and I would say you're an A-type personality. And so any A-type personality, we just throw ourselves into the tasks at hand, and we
Yeah.
are knackered. And that's why we have bad health, right? Because we're knackered. And then we go, all right, dead horsey, come on, and drag ourselves to the gym. And basically it is like whipping the dead horse, come on, pull that cart, pull
Let's
that
do it.
cart.
Let's do it. Exactly. And then when you're not lifting as heavy or you're not running as fast, you punish yourself because like you should be able to do this or you could do this 2 days ago. What's the problem today?
Yes.
And you just can't understand why.
Yes. So it really
Yeah.
is mad. And then what happened after, like, how long ago was that? Have you done anything else since that diet? Was there any more?
I'll be honest, I didn't learn my lesson. I joined another trainer who also had a sort of his philosophy was a bit more relaxed, I'd say. So he was more like, I'll give you what you need to do, stick to it as much as you can, we'll have conversations. After a while, you soon start to learn that it's just a money-making scheme for a lot of these people. And I understand like it's a career and there are people out there and they do it well and they care for their clients, but there's loads of trainers out there who you're just a number and
Yeah.
they make a substandard plan and they give that substandard plan to everybody, make a lot of money out of it, and then move on. So yeah, I lost a bit of weight with my second trainer as well. Again, coming out of it because my lifestyle is pretty sedentary, where you're just sort of sitting all the time. I've got an office job now. I run my business on the side.
Yep.
So I sort of get up, sit at the laptop to run my own business, then do my day job, then, do my own personal things in the evening, my own personal business. And it's hard to push yourself. So at the moment, I'm trying to switch on that light bulb to motivate myself to get back into the gym because there are times where I can do it. And I started swimming a little bit. I started attending classes. I do a bit of stretching at home, so I do some yoga, which is great. But when you switch off, you just switch off because it feels like such a big effort to actually turn up and do these things.
Yeah.
But that's me comparing my efforts to what I used to do with PT, and it doesn't ever feel like it's enough. And that's something that I need to rewire my brain because movement doesn't have to be punishment. And that's something I think everyone needs to learn.
I'm so glad you said that, because movement doesn't need to be punishment. And in fact, movement needs to be fun for us to A, want to do it, and B, enjoy doing it, and C, get the health benefits from it. Because when it's not
Yeah,
fun, it's just added stress to the body. And we can be as fit as a Mallee bull, strong and toned and all of that and slender, But if our body's continually stressed, it's not a healthy body. It's still making acids, it's still feeling pain, it's still dropping all the cortisol, it's doing all the wrong things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess a lot of people don't realize that when you're actually in the gym, you're stressing your body out, aren't you? You're causing cortisol to be released.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned more recently.
And how did you learn that?
I'll be honest, probably on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Easy.
Um,
Instagram's good.
yeah, no, definitely. I think Instagram creates a fantasy world for a lot of people,
Yeah.
where everyone wants to attain the best, but at the same time, it could be really educational. I think you just have to find the right balance.
Look for the snippets of educational information and be able to decipher it. So, Ruby, because you're an accountant, you're a whiz kid with numbers, aren't you? When I read your bio, and what is it? An actualized science?
Actuarial science. So you're basically looking at risk and the probability of events occurring. So within insurance, which is the industry I work in, it's pretty much saying how much money do we need to keep aside if, say, for example, I know this is pretty out there, but there's an alien invasion tomorrow, or if there's a terrorist attack, do we have enough money in our bank to pay our policyholders enough money if this were to ever occur? So it's very much a forward-looking planning, sort of like a risk management skill.
And you're also like, because your bio is so impressive with all your studies. So what degrees and what is your level of studies there? Can you tell us that? Because I'm really wanting to point out your absolute high level of intellect and
Thank you.
ability to, because with the ability to look ahead, see where things are, like, and piece stuff together and predict. So could you just tell me all of the degrees that you have?
So I've got a BSc, so it's a bachelor's degree in maths and stats. I've got a master's in actuarial science. I've done the ACCA examination, so all 14 I had to say. I didn't get any exemptions. And then I've got a certificate in treasury.
You're so intelligent and you're able to piece together everything. And see, this is why I really want to point this out. It's because I don't have any of those that education. And a lot of people say to, like, oh, okay, you don't understand, you're overweight or you're poor in health due to really lack of intelligence, right? There is a level of that philosophy out there that it's like a blanket generalization over people that are overweight. And the more overweight we are, or the more times we yo-yo diet, the more times, the more that it kind of is like, oh, you're just not that smart, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember somebody saying to me, one of my close friends, wow, you've put the weight on again. Why don't you just say no? Like that would never ever occurred to me, hey,
As
just
if
say
it's so
no.
easy. Yeah, as if it's so easy, right?
Yeah. And you're so intelligent. You blow me away with your level of intellect and intelligence and
Thank you.
capabilities. And the thing that I guess I'm wanting to point out here is that has nothing to do with we can't understand it all for each area of our life. And so if you were able to take some of what you know from looking ahead and predicting the future and what you need now, how would you be able to use that skill on your health and like your health habits and how you're running your life that way?
To be honest, I think it's pretty easy to see in the way that you feel and your lifestyle habits where you will end up.
Yes.
You can count as many calories as you like, you can exercise as much as you want, but if you don't start looking after the smaller things in your life, like you're headed for doom.
Yeah.
I'm in myself, and I like you said, I know it, and I can say no to that chocolate bar, or I can say no to that biscuit, or the McDonald's or whatever it is. But sometimes your brain your body just wants comfort.
Yes.
and
It
it just
wants
wants comfort food. And as logical as I am, all logic literally just goes out the window. So as easy as it can be to predict what it is, I think sometimes it's just hard when you're struggling with your weight and your body and sort of health issues. It's just so difficult because you almost think, you know what? If I've come this far, why not just have that extra chocolate bar and start again tomorrow? Which is the problem that a lot of people have. We'll start on Monday, but no one ever says which Monday.
yes. Or Monday, we know we're only good on Monday, and then we fall over on Tuesday and we go, I'll start next Monday.
Exactly. But it's in the little habits. I think if you start ticking those little boxes every day and you just make sure that, they are attainable, small habits that are achievable and you build them up over time,
Yes.
easily you can get to where you want to be.
And this is the thing that I realized as well, right? Was I would do all of the, like you do the programs, come off them at some point. Sometimes I actually maintained the weight loss for a couple of years, but it was a constant battle. But
Yeah.
it really is implementing the small adjustments. And actually my change was changing from wanting the weight to come off quickly, because we do. And the reason we want it to come off quick, the reason it's sort of what is it, catch 22, with the
Mhm.
reason why we're lured into the 12-week challenges and those kinds of fast weight loss promises is actually the reason why we are lured into those, because they're so arduous, because it's a concentrated focus effort of exercise and diet, right? So it's so arduous. It's like, oh, I just want this to finish. But that's what we think weight loss is. I've just got to get in, get it done, and then I'm finished. Like, I don't know, painting the house. We just think get in, get it
Yeah.
done, and you're done for another 7 years kind of thing. Whereas the reality is what you just said is the implementation of small changes every day over time. It's that marginal gains, the power of marginal gains, small, teeny, tiny changes in many, many areas. And it's not just food, because what you also said was really true about we need to be more relaxed, because what we are is, when we're wanting treats and we're wanting to have, whatever it is, even if it's just time on the couch to watch TV, what we're wanting is to relax. We're not wanting to put on our gym gear in the morning, or maybe we have and we've pushed ourselves through the day. But relaxation is actually the key to being able to sustain a habit change, because when we get tired, our brain says, I just want you to go sit on the couch, okay?
Yeah, it was literally that is the way.
Yeah.
I think having a goalpost, that say 6 months, 6 weeks, it's easy because you can do a countdown almost. And it's that whole accountability that you can tick the box, but you've got 6 months and then you're free. And oh, if I don't have that chocolate now, in 6 months, I'll be able to have as much as I like. And that's where the problem lies, because everything's so super, super strict that once that 6 months is done, you feel like you're being let out to the world again. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like you've woken up, or it's in an
Like
interpretation
getting
of it
out
is
of
like you're being.
prison.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's literally as if you're being let out of prison and you're sort of free to do what you want to do. And it's just trying to took your brain into thinking that actually this isn't punishment. You're doing it for the betterment of yourself. Like I think a lot of the weight that I put on over the years was partially from studying, mostly from studying, to be honest, and sitting down and not being as active. But also I work in the City of London, and the industry that I work in is very, very drink heavy, very, very old boys club, very, very let's go out to the pub at lunchtime and not come back and eat a load of junk food. And I think if you don't fit that bill and if you don't at least attend, or, it's almost like you're not suitable, you're not part of the gang. And I think that your environment and people's opinions of you make a massive difference, because I wasn't a massive drinker. I'm not even a massive drinker now, to be fair, especially after lockdown. I've managed to take a step back. But I used to go into the city, and this is when I first started working, and they'd all go to the pub at lunchtime.
Yes.
And, they would order their round of beers or their alcohol or spirits. And I'd say, oh, can I just have a glass of water, please? Or, because I'm at that time, I wasn't a big fan of alcohol. And they would literally take the mick out of me, like completely. He'd be like, why are you having water for? Have a drink. Why are you not drinking? Da da da. And, like, there's so many times that you can go out and you can, keep saying, actually, no, no, no,
End
no,
it off.
no.
Yes.
Yeah, because they almost break you into it, and that sort of that's their lifestyle, and they try and sort of push that on you. So, soon after that, I stopped attending as many events. I stopped going to as many lunches, and I, blame on, oh, I've got too much work to do, but you guys go ahead and have fun, or I'll join you next time.
Yep.
But I think peer pressure is massive, especially when it comes to the way that you think
It's
about weight loss. Yeah.
it's such a great point, right? Everybody kind of misses this, that either like yourself, you were joining into a new social circle where the social circle was connected to work and they do a certain thing, and for you to fit in, and our brain, we want to fit in, right? So we will eventually succumb unless we've got a different perspective and mindset happening. But it is that peer group pressure, and it's natural. Nobody really means to be doing it. However, when you're the one who is here doing something different and they're here doing this, you don't fit. They will badger you until you fit in. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's the other way around. If you're trying to fit in with a group of healthy people and you're the one who drinks, which is the ideal group to kind of join with in a fashion, but not always. But when it's your own social circle, this is what I found was when it's my own social circle and I've been the overweight person, you drink and you enjoy food and all of that with them. You meet with your friends for either alcoholic beverages or cake and coffee. And then when it's no longer the habit I'm doing, it's the habit I'm trying to break and saying, no, I don't want that. I'm having water today, or no, I'm not having cake. There is a level of resistance out there. There's a resistance to the changing us, right? So, and you pointed out how it was in reverse, whereas you were trying to blend in with other people. But we end up with these situations where we have to make a choice about who we are and how we fit with the people we're with. And unfortunately, I didn't know how to do that back then. And often I relapsed and succumb. Oh, okay, I'll just have the, whatever it was, cake or coffee or alcohol. Because my brain was eager to jump in, by the way. It wasn't going, oh no, Katie, don't do that. It was going, yay, let's jump in, have the cake. But it's I didn't know how to have a different perspective that would have allowed me to A, remain accepted by the group, and B, stay true to my philosophy. And you were missing the same sort of thing, I think.
Definitely. I mean, when during one of my phases, one part of the program, I was actually at work. They'd almost sort of like, oh, what have you bought yourself today? Oh, are you not going to come lunch with us? Or, it's almost like going to the gym is frowned upon. Oh, are you going to the gym again? You're going to, sit and run on the treadmill like a hamster. Like they almost, it's almost a bad thing to actually want to look after your health.
Yeah.
And it never made any sense to me that, actually trying to prioritize yourself, look after yourself, do good by your own self, that was very, very much frowned upon. Because I guess I now I probably understand it a bit more because I'm older and I've been through a lot more. But I think maybe it was a sense of insecurity on their part because they're not working out and they're not eating well and they almost need it to justify their own actions and make themselves feel better about things. So I'm in a much more secure space than I was back then.
Yeah. And that's exactly it, right? It's just, and nobody's really doing it consciously. It's not that we're bad people. It is
No.
how the human brain works. So somebody's in the clique, you're all doing the same thing, then somebody breaks away. It's like breaking away from the herd to do something different. I'm going to go graze in this paddock over here. And they have, it's a non-conscious response to exactly what you said. They feel that your good habits start to really shine a light on how they're living and what they're doing, and they don't know how to break free, or they don't want to, or whatever. Everyone's got their own reasons, but it's about bringing you back. I had a friend that when I was on a diet, if I went around to visit them, and she was a very slender woman, she didn't have a problem with food at all. She was one of those people who could have a piece of cake and just have a bite or two and then leave it and never come back to it, kind of thing. Bowls of lollies around the house. Didn't really eat them. The husband and child did. But every time I went to visit, the minute I said I was on a diet, she would cut cake. And she was what I call a food pusher. She'd just keep pushing it, literally keep pushing it to me. One bit won't hurt, one bit won't hurt. That constantly wanting to see if someone would break. And there's all kinds of people out there that fall into different categories of trying to lure us back to old habits. Did you also notice that you had voids in your life where you used to do certain things, maybe like, for example, go to the local markets on a Sunday and have your coffee, and then when you change, you're going to the markets, but you're no longer having the coffee because it no longer is part of your habits? And so what do you do? Or sometimes it's, mostly it comes to sitting on the couch at night because everybody grazes at night. And when we don't do that, we have a void, and you're sitting there going, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, literally. I think that's my main and dessert philosophy. So every time I have lunch, I would try and have a little bit of sweet after, just to, just to get the food down, and similar to dinner. So I'd have my dinner, and then about half an hour later, I'd be like, okay, so what's in the fridge? She'll have a bit of ice cream, she'll have a chocolate bar, or what can I have next? I found myself just being really jittery for days and days and days. And some days I would give in. But I think after a while, it's sort of, you really need to try and understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's the main thing. I actually once went on a trip, sort of like a family trip. There's only about five of us kids, like I say kids, but younger generation not. So we went over to Devon, and I was on a diet. So I had my food prep boxes all prepped, taken with me while they were enjoying their time away, basically. They were ordering a bit of food out. They bought food from Tesco and they were cooking it in the kitchen. And, oh, why don't you try a bit of this or have a bit of this? And, at the time I was like, no, 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 it's fine. I got my chicken. I'll eat with you guys, but I'll have, my chicken and veg, or I'll have my my fish, like my cooked 2 days ago fish that's, been sitting in the fridge since. And, while they're chomping on their warm, hot, fresh food. And at the time it was like, no, 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 I got to do it because I got to tick a box. But now I look back at it and I think, you know what, I just don't think it's worth missing out on the good times.
Correct.
Or because, I will always remember that trip with me eating my, food out of my Tupperware while everyone had a blast.
Yeah. And it's so true,
yeah.
right? Because that's the thing, we miss out on life. And like my whole philosophy has become, forget about the dieting and focus on the living part, and, still lose weight. And you're so wonderful, Ruby, because you are so dedicated to your studies and to your business and to your employers and your clients. And we get so good at this part, the work part, or maybe it's the mum at home looking after the husband and the family and working. And, we get so good at this that we don't have any of the fun and the lifestyle in our life. And it's a part of, it's not the only thing, but it's part of this whole thing with our weight is we're already, like you were already working so hard, and then you did the same thing that I did and so many others do. We're already working in a tight life, and our health suffers because of it. And then we have a snap. Oh my God, I'm living like this. I have to change my health. I have to change my weight. And we do. We go to the personal trainer, we do the diet, but we're already living this tight life, and then we go on a diet which restricts us down more with your food, like where you would have been working hard and then gone away and had a fun time with your friends and relaxed. You went away and you maintained the tightness of your life by sticking to the regime, and you missed out on the relaxation that comes with the sharing of food and maybe a little bit of alcohol and the laughter and stuff. Like, there was a level of your body that was still in this tense place. And so that's what the philosophy is that I live to now is, it's not about tightening down. If we're already living a tight life, what we need to do is loosen up. And you're now doing yoga and stretching and bringing in relaxation to your life, and you're noticing that in your health as well, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I am. So I'm starting to pick up some yoga in the morning. So when I wake up first thing, freshen up, and I go downstairs and I do some yoga. And it's amazing how much more lighter you just feel after doing it. Like you just, at the end of the day, just, the tightness that I'd feel in my back because I sit down all day, in my shoulders, in my neck, just doing that little bit of stretch. I think, I know it sounds strange, but it also put me in a better mood than what I was before because I was just tense and everything hurt. And I just felt this huge sense of negativity. And no matter how much I slept, no matter how much I've watched TV, no matter how much I've relaxed, it didn't make a difference. Nothing made me feel better. So I've started my little yoga and stretching routine in the morning, which is making a huge difference.
And do you know what a part of that is? I don't know if you know much about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. They always talk in there about break state, because when we are working, like you said, your habits and routines, it's working and sitting on the couch, and we're still in the same posture. And when we're in that mode, like we are literally, this is what I teach. Where's my sign? Over here. Mirror reverse. This is what I teach, right? Because we have three lots of consciousness. And when we're in work mode, and just doing our routine of things, we're in that non-conscious state. And what's happening in that non-conscious state is it's just focused in on the tasks that we're doing, and we stay in the same physical posture because in our mind we're still thinking about work and what we're doing. Like, our brain never stops thinking about how to problem solve that and do those tasks and what's our plan for tomorrow and all of that. And in NLP world, they talk about, where your eye patterns are, your, kinesthetic eye patterns, visual, audio, and audio digital. And when we think about things, our eyes go to a certain pattern, especially when we relive a story. Our eyes go into the same pattern that matches the neurology of our thoughts. And so when you change and do your yoga, you're changing your physical state, your breaking state from being in work mode.
Yeah.
And that's helping you then to change what you're thinking about. So it's helping you to stop thinking about work, and it's helping you to move out of the non-conscious state and into a conscious state, apart from the fact you're getting all the blood flow happening that we talked about earlier. But it is breaking state, and breaking state helps you to break habits.
Yeah, most definitely. I kind of find that the stretching also, it helps with sort of injuries that I've sustained in the past as well. I kind of feel like I hurt myself less often, I ache less often. So I've had back problems in the past due to sort of car accidents, but I had a really big car accident more recently. So I'd probably say in 2021, April. So we were driving and there was a van sort of driving the distance, and he had two pieces of wood on top. And we were driving on the motorway, so it was 80, 90 miles per hour, and the pieces of wood loosened and they just came towards the car.
Wow.
So my other half was sort of driving, trying to brake, to sort of avoid that piece of wood just smashing through the window and hitting me. Instead, it hit the bumper of the car. And I think as a result of the shock, my shoulders, my neck, my back, like I was in excruciating pain, I had headaches, other effects to my body. I couldn't sleep for weeks, all sorts of issues. And I kind of feel like at that time, they said don't go to the gym, don't move too much, don't, basically until you don't get checked out. And I had physio, etc. And I kind of feel like even through that phase of my life where I couldn't move and I couldn't, do very much with myself, I actually started doing a tad bit of yoga back then, and I kind of
Yeah.
felt like that made a world of difference too, because it was the only thing that you could do without aggravating the injury and sustaining it. But at the same time, I could kind of get on with my daily tasks that little bit better, only because it helped ease the pain.
Yes. And
So I think it
is
makes
that
a lot
is
of
that
difference.
when you started the yoga, or were you already doing a bit of yoga before that?
That's when I first originally started it. And once I kind of felt better, got better, chucked myself back into work, I kind of completely stopped doing it. And I've just rekindled my love for it recently again.
We do that, right? We forget. We go back to old habits. This is what I call, our habit relapse. We just go back
Mhm.
to a sleep, really, is what we do. We go back to sleep of our old habits and the ways that we live life, because our body's just something we've trained to do many things. And you've trained yours to be very studious and work. And this is what we do. And let's go back to what we know, because that's what it likes. It's just following the program we've set in place, and it takes time. And I don't want to say effort, because effort, everyone goes, oh, I'm not doing effort, thank you
Yeah,
very much. It
yeah.
just takes some focused attention and a desire to
It's
remain
almost,
alert.
yeah, and just reset the switch sort of thing, isn't it? Just flip the switch
but
and just,
but you've
yeah,
got to keep doing it. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are teaching wonderful programs and saying, you can change this forever, get to the root cause. I personally have gone to the root cause of many of my things, many of my issues or obstacles or challenges. And what I've found is there's just too many of them. It's like putting out a spot fire. You've got a burning bushfire, it's blazing through thousands of acres of woodland. And when I did NLP and different modalities for working on stuff, it was just putting out one spot fire. And you
yeah,
really do need to understand that the process of change is just really a daily conscious awareness of what the hell we're doing. Because I have it relapse all the time. My brain still gets tired or stressed, and stressed is just I haven't had enough sleep, or my clothes are
yeah,
annoying me, or it's too damn hot, or whatever.
yeah.
And I still brain says, oh, chocolate would be nice, you know. And even yesterday, I had this urge for food. Now, when I investigated with myself in the past, I would have just went and eaten a whole bunch of chocolates or whatever, or maybe, something in a fried chicken area. I don't know. But when I investigated with myself, well, all right, what is it that you want? There was nothing that when I like literally shone the light on it and said, oh, you can have whatever you like, dear heart. What do you want?
Yeah.
It couldn't come up with anything. Like, here's the buffet. Which one is going to
Mhm.
scratch the itch? Or none of them. Okay, so what's the problem? I think you need
It's
to
mental
scratch.
half the time, right? It's
Yeah,
literally a mental game. Honestly, I think your attitude towards it and
yeah,
trying to sort of strengthen your mind into actually saying, you know what, you're not hungry, so why do you want to eat? It's so important.
yes,
It's so important because sometimes, similar to you, I want sugar and I'll say, I want to have something sweet. What can I have? And I'll be like, there's a bar of chocolate. Nah, there's ice cream in the fridge. Nah. But what do you fancy? But I fancy something sweet. But what will tick that box? And
yes,
it's crazy, isn't it? And because of that, I'll end up eating probably three things that I wasn't in the mood for anyway. But it's
exactly.
sweet at the end of the day. And then I just end up regretting it later.
Exactly right. Now, you see, when I lost the 20 kilos back in 2011, eating whatever I liked, it was those conversations. And I say, I used to eat waffles with cream and with cream and maple syrup, and I lost 20 kilos that year. But you just said exactly why that worked was because instead of eating 17 different things before I worked out what the one thing was that my brain wanted, I just had a good conversation. What is it? It either was nothing or it was, I want this. And it wanted it a lot. Like
Yeah.
many times over the year, it was a thing that my brain was on. But instead of grazing on 75 things first, just a simple investigation went, well, it's actually this I want. And it was about the textures. It's not about flavors,
Yeah.
the blend of textures of the crunch of the waffle, the cream, and the whatever. And that's the
Mhm.
investigation and the ability to have good conversation with all parts of ourself, with our brain. It's saying, oh, this is the habit you've taught me, and I just want to do
Mhm.
it. And then
I was going to say, have you ever had that feeling where you really want something and then you will eat it? I don't know, a pot of yogurt, for example. But then 2 minutes later, you'll have a drink of water and that taste is just gone. And you think to yourself, what was it for? Do
exactly
you know what
right.
I mean? That one little moment, that one little moment. Because the minute, you have something else to eat or you drink some water because you feel thirsty, that taste, that familiarity just goes. So
Yes. What was the
I think
point?
it's
It was
actually
one moment in time.
exactly. You could have saved yourself, some calories for the day or whatever. But I think it's a lot about learning about yourself and
Yes,
actually, like you said, understanding, investigating what it is you want. Do you really want it? Or are you just eating because you're stressing, because you're trying to cover up an emotion, because,
it's
or
time.
because you genuinely, yeah, definitely. Or just genuinely because you do want it, because your
Yep.
heart desires it, in which case just go for it. But yeah, I think finding that balance is really important.
Yep. And when you have it, is to enjoy it. So when I used to have my waffles and cream, it was set the table, sit down and enjoy it, not in front of the TV, because our mindless eating in front of the TV, well, we mindlessly eat all the time, which is half our problem when our brain's not registering what we're having. So it's about, paying attention to the food you're having and just being present with it. But yes, the conversations that we have with ourselves is where the improvement is, understanding how to have a good. I love the line from one of my favorite songs by Jimmy Barnes. And he says, you can't win a fight that you don't understand. He's talking about something completely different. He's talking about relationships, and how we have these moments where we just kick off.
Yeah,
And we don't know why we're doing it, let alone the other person. And then a fight happens, but nobody can win because we don't know why we're fighting. And that's
yeah,
what happens within ourselves. We can't win the fight we don't understand because our unconscious mind and unconscious self, the bit we've trained, is just doing its thing and we're fighting with it. But unless we understand what's happening with our own self, it's going to be an argument we're never going to win.
definitely, definitely agreed. No matter how much you keep trying to win, unless you don't do that inner work, it will never make a difference to
Yeah.
you physically. I think that's the most important thing is,
Yeah.
actually understanding yourself, trying to learn about yourself.
Yes.
Do you get certain cravings at certain times? Why is it so? Is it deadline time? Are you stress eating? Do you really need to stress eat? Maybe you just need some water. Maybe you're dehydrated.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a lot of sort of personal reflection that you need to do. And the only person that can help you with that is you. No PT online, no
Yeah.
friend of yours, no parent, no one can do that. You just have to sort of really do that inner work.
Exactly right. No one can do it for you. And they sound like all the lessons that you've learned from your own experiences, Ruby.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I have learned so much about myself, but I think it's for me the biggest struggle is when I am stressed or if there is a work deadline or exam deadline, is just to make sure that I understand what is going on and why I'm craving certain foods or why I feel like I've got no self-control. I think that's my biggest challenge is always trying to understand why I feel like I've got no control during those
Yeah.
periods of my life, sorry.
Because that's
Yeah.
our thing, is we feel disempowered by our own self. Why are you leading me around to the kitchen? I don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. But your legs will still walk.
Yep, still heading in there. I still have my
Yeah.
body still does that, right? I can be walk. I know I'm in the danger zone of going to eat something that my brain that I don't want, I know isn't going to help me. And I know I'm coming up to walking, I'm out walking and I'm coming up to a supermarket doorway. And I'm like, don't go in, don't go in. No, no, look, we're having this conversation, but my legs are still going in. My legs are
Yeah.
still going in. And often I walk in and through and out again without purchasing. But the body still does the walk through. Oh, come on, we're going in. No, we're not. Yes, we are.
Yeah. What do you need to do? Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Even if we go to the supermarket or we'll go put petrol in at the petrol station, I'll still always go in, even if I don't have to, just to look at the sweets. Because I used to do
Yes.
that when I was younger. You know, with
Yeah.
dad, like dad would say, "You want a sweet?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, yeah." So he'd
Yeah.
put the petrol in, we'd walk in together, and then he'd be like, "Choose whichever one you want." And I'd sit there and analyze all the sweets and be like, "I want this one." So even though now I won't necessarily always buy one, I will still always go in and take a look. And
Yes.
I don't understand it.
Exactly, because that's a habit. I was talking to somebody yesterday about that exact thing. They were talking about doing a road trip, right? And where they bought the food, and they were talking about an upcoming road trip. And I said, well, it's the service station is the like the trigger. You pull in for either fuel or the toilet stop or whatever, but the service station is the trigger because we've built a habit, and like you say, probably from when you're a child, where you go to the servo and it's all there at, like, it's strategically placed. You're almost, it's closing in on you in the aisles
Mhm.
there and at the counter, and now the attendants, I don't know if they're doing it in the UK, but here the attendants are doing the upsell like McDonald's. So you're just paying your fuel and they've got all these sweets there and they're like, would you like some of these, and it's, no,
Yeah.
don't be a food pusher, get away.
Yeah. Or it's reduced price or buy two for, 3 for 2 or
Yeah.
something like there's always an offer. There's always an offer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is just reworking all those habits, and we have food habits everywhere throughout our life.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing everything, Ruby. And before we go, can you tell us, so I have so many other questions I had for you, but we've been at it nearly an hour already and I didn't get to any of those.
I'll have to come back again.
It'll be great to have you back. So before you go, though, can you tell us, what does fun look like for you?
I'll be honest, I think as I've grown older, fun looks very different. I think just some relaxed time with my other half, whether that means a walk in the park, whether that means going to the cinema, spending time with friends and family. I think that's what fun looks like to me now.
Nice. And what do you do for relaxation?
So I started meditating.
Good.
So I do 10 minutes every day just before bed. It helps me sleep, relaxes me completely. So I don't have any of those thoughts running in my head, what have I got to do tomorrow? Who have I got to meet? What's going on? So meditation's one of them, stretching's another. And yeah, that's it really.
Nice. Well, they're the best ones, right? Bit of outside
Yeah.
time, the stuff you're doing for fun sounds like it's all quite relaxing as well. So that's what it's all about. Putting life back into your life. And that changes your health habits, right? Because a happy person makes happy, healthy choices for ourselves. And that's really the key of where it's at. Thank you so much, Ruby. We've added in your contact details. They're sitting below us as we speak. So if anybody needs a fantastic accountant, Ruby is the woman for you. And thanks again so much for coming on the show today, Ruby. Just such an absolute delight talking to you. And thank you so much for sharing your story with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been eye-opening.
Because you get so much out of it as well, don't you? When you tell your story, that you remember the things that you remember or that you haven't remembered for a while.
Exactly. And sometimes you learn that you're not alone in thinking in a certain way, you're remembering things in a certain way, you're doing things a certain way. And I think it's always nice to know you're not alone out there.
I think so too. That's the value of sharing our stories and passing it on, because we all go, oh, I do that too. I'm not the only
Yeah,
one. I'm normal.
it's so true. It's so true. It's so true. But thank you so much, Katie.
Thanks, Ruby. And thank you to you who are watching or listening today. If you need any help at all in overcoming your weight loss challenges now, just book in for a private session and let's just get it done this week, because life is for living and an ounce of adjustment is so much easier to implement than 20 pounds of change. And it's time to enjoy the life that you've been looking for.